welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Virginia, aka Orange Zeppelin, and I have a track record for over planning, which is probably the understatement of the century, which I am actively trying to work on this. I'm figuring out exactly what my realistic work timelines look like. I am actively making steps to combat burnout, which I get hit with burnout very often. And it really is just because I think I can do more than I realistically can. And already you're probably wondering where we're going with this. But last year, after a particularly disastrous Inktober, which I have a whole video explaining what happens there. I'm going to link that down in the description below. I decided that the Inktober format, as much as I love it, as much as I love long form challenges like that in general, it was getting a little bit too stifling for me because really, practice and experimentation is something I should be doing all the time. It's actually a really good thing to do before you get into a main work session because it's just like your warm-up. So as much as I'm a really big fan of Inktober as a concept, it was starting to just not work out for me. I had done it 8 years without missing a single day, and then last year, as soon as I missed a day and started to play catch up, it was just like a big snowball of shit that got out of control. So after that point, it was like, you know what? I had fun. It was a great experience, but that's going to be the last year that I do Inktober. And now you're probably really thinking, hey, OZ, did you maybe do an Inktober this year? Is that what you're trying to tell us? No, don't be silly. I did too. And then I also did an entire oil painting. And then I also drew this clown for some of my friends online. But let's switch views over to the drawing table and then I can unpack exactly what I got into last month. So the first challenge was the Mystery Inktober, and my mom came across this on Instagram. She was really curious, so we both signed up. I'm going to link the artist hosting the challenge below in the comments. It was actually a 30-day challenge and not 31, and we would get a fragment of a black and white image sent to us every day in an email, and then we would copy the image on a small square of paper. I'm pretty sure this one was day 1. And they were not necessarily in any order. And the orientation of the fragment you got in the email, it might actually not be what it looks like in the finished image. So you don't know what you're drawing until the very, very end of the challenge. And some days were a lot harder than others. I already kind of struggle with foliage, so this was quite the adventure. And then there were other days, like this one. This was just very meditative to do. This one was interesting because if I was looking at the fragment, if I was looking at my email on my phone, it looked solid black. And if I pulled it up on my tablet, there was a little bit of like a lighter tone going on in the background. It actually wasn't solid black. And now nobody sneeze, this is all of the fragments put together. I killed a few markers doing this. It was worth it though. This was a good time. I used these Faber-Castell, I think these are alcohol-based. Yeah, some alcohol-based markers in a largely gray scale. I did also use some white gel pen, and on some of these I used micron pens. On some of these I actually used fountain pen. And there's actually a Discord server that was created for the challenge where everybody posted their fragments every day. And that was really fun to see because everybody's got different styles, different approaches to the prompt. And it is very motivating to keep going when you have a bunch of other people doing the same challenge with you. Which, honestly, my least favorite part of Inktober is the social media aspect where you have to post your picture every day and you go through the stupid hashtag gauntlet. And this didn't feel like that. It wasn't the drudgery of what feels like a social media commitment, which Honestly, you can do Inktober and just tell nobody and post your art nowhere. You don't have to post it on social media at all, so... But just having a little Discord group, it made it fun to just check in on everybody, see where everyone's at. And this is something I definitely would do again next year if there is going to be another one. I think there actually was one of these challenges last year. But yeah, I'm happy I did this. I am happy with how this turned out, even though I've got some kind of non-Euclidean geometry. This lamp is phasing into a different plane of reality. And this is how I was starting my day. Usually I did it first thing in the morning. That was kind of like my warm-up piece. And then, because I'm a glutton for punishment, I did another challenge. And this is the Spookydelic challenge, which I'm also going to link that in the description. This is actually what I was trying to do last year because the prompt list is really fun. It was just time constraints made everything a disaster last year. And what you're gonna see here is a sneak peek at something I'm gonna share at the very beginning of next year. This is the Hobonichi 5-year journal, and I did all of my Spookydelic prompt drawings in here. So this right here was actually not part of the Spookydelic challenge. I actually did that one in 2022. So it would have been the first year that I got this journal. And so the way the Hobonichi 5-year works is you've got space to write for 5 different years on each day of the year. So you can look back and see on any day of the year, what were you doing at that same time in the previous years? Which you can kind of tell. I mean, I don't write in English in my journal, so you're probably looking at this like, what the hell, girl? I use my journal mostly for language learning, so very rarely do I write in English. Pretty much the whole thing is in Scottish Gaelic, but you can still see I've got Inktober, 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 Inktober. You know what the hell's going on October 1st. And it was actually this illustration right here that was part of the Spookydelic challenge. Day 1 was pumpkin. I also had a tertiary challenge, because of course I need to do 3 different things as a daily challenge, where I was going to use a glass pen and a different ink color every day of the month. I fell off of that kind of quickly. I might try to do that more this month, because that is a fun thing to do. And I was writing down what color I was using with my pen. This was Robert Oster Lost Dutchman's Gold, and that's what I did the hatching for on the pumpkin. And then day 2, the prompt was Black Cat, and I hadn't done anything on this side of the paper. Actually, let me jump back and show an example. Like, I haven't... There's a lot of days where I haven't filled this side of the journal spread out. You can either, like, draw a line right across and then extend your writing for each day, or you can just do whatever you want. And I still have quite a few gaps in my journal, even though I'm on year 4. So that's partly why I did the Spookydelic challenge in this journal. This prompt was brain. This one was fun. I think I started out using... This was actually kind of a bad combination of media because it got very soupy and swampy. Though I am drawing a zombie, so maybe that's kind of the energy we want. I used fountain pens for the line work, and then I believe I used Tombow markers, and that ended up smearing. And in some places it looks cool. In some places this is just like zombie goop soup. And then day 4. So fun fact, and maybe not a fun fact, fun for everybody who isn't me. I hate snails. The prompt was snail. I'm not drawing a damn snail. Absolutely not. We are getting a non-threatening seashell. Nobody's inside this. This is unoccupied. Seashell, it's funny, seashells are fine. I don't even like empty snail shells. Like, I know that somebody presumably was living in the seashell. I don't know who. I'm not thinking too hard about it. The snail shell, I don't even like it when it's vacant. It's like a crack house. Even if the crackheads are gone, the house still has crackhead energy and it's weird. So yeah, I deemed this day too spooky. That was too spooky for me. This one was fun to do. I think I used watercolors and then fountain pen ink on top of that. And then there might be a little bit of colored pencil. This paper actually holds up very well to watercolors. And then this is a day where I already had something going on this side. So my Spookydelic challenge was kind of just squeezed into here. This day was moon. This day also I didn't have a lot of space, but it was nice to have some really easy prompts in there. This one was spider web. Which, Punisher over here, I am pretty sure I actually used Crayola markers to color him in. That's another thing that works really well on this paper, amazingly. This is, let me bring him nice and close to you so you can look deeply into his eyes. This is giving Freddie Mercury. I'm not 100% sure if I would say it looks like Freddie Mercury. I picked a very appropriate ink color for this day. This was Wearing Ghoul's Dracula ink. Let's focus. It's not gonna focus. My camera's too enamored by vampire Freddie Mercury. Comment down below if you think Freddie Mercury should have played Dracula in a movie. And then this day was fire. And the devil is just, he is fucking sick of everything. That is a whole mood right there. Actually, looking at my notes here, I might have been having a rough painting day. So I think that was basically my face that whole day. I think the less we say about this guy, the better. Alright, moving on. This was also not part of the challenge, and this was done in a previous year. I actually did it at one of my favorite coffee shops. The Spookydelic prompt was Raven. That was just like super quick, super dirty. A lot of this was already there, and then I went in and just added this ghosty dude. And I was just feeling appley. I think I had eaten some... Oh wait, I had an apple spice latte that day, and it was very delicious. So got some apple vibes going on. And then this day's prompt was scaly, and I did kind of loop parts of the drawing into previous years, that is. I don't know if you can really see the sparkle on this ink. This is a really interesting one. I think it is called... Actually, I've got it right here. This is another Wearing Ghoul ink. And this one is called Path. And it's like a very... like yellowish green with a little bit of glistening. I have another full spread here. This was no sleep, just coffee. It says it all. Let me see if I have him nearby. Yes, I do. I have Mr. Chuckles, the Crystal Skull. I've been told crystal skulls apparently possess magical powers, and his magical power is that he makes me happy, and I think that is delightful. So I drew him for this day. That is Crystal. Crystal was the prompt that day. That was the day we had a tornado warning at like 11 o'clock at night, so that's why I didn't sleep. A little hard to sleep when you're worried your house is going to end up in frickin' Oz the next day. This day the prompt was green, and I was feeling orky, goblin-y. You can see some places where if you go on thick enough with either go on heavy enough with watercolors or some other pen, then your ink from previous years, depending on what you used, it can bleed through, and that can just ruin your whole day. In fact, you can see that happened right there, because I didn't test this ink out well enough. This is an ink that I'm just not going to use in here ever again, basically. Actually, it wasn't even that I did watercolor too heavy right here. It's just that it bled straight through. So there is an argument for testing your materials. This one was fun to do. The prompt is bones. And so I dug into my bone collection. I don't remember what materials I was using to make that. It might have been a little bit of watercolor. It might actually be Tombow markers, now that I think about it. It was Tombow markers, and I think I actually did the line art last. I just put in I think I sketched out in pencil, did some colors in Tombow markers, and then I used the Schaefer coffee-themed pen that I think is very, very cool. And that is loaded with, I don't remember what. Oh, wait, Colorverse is the brand, and Coffee Break is the color. I really like this for doing sketching with. And then, speaking of coffee, I guess I was just having a day, because that is a whole freaking mood right there. We were drinking the potion of not strangling people. I don't know if I was at work this day, and it was just one of those freaking days. Oh, and then this is collaged, because that looks like my kitty. This day, wings. So with this, I was trying to do a little bit of a Celtic knot design to just match the aesthetic I had already decided upon in the previous years. This is actually very appropriate. So the prompt was slimy. I have been, as I made a little note here, I've been incorporating more fiber into my diet through chia pudding, which I like chia pudding. You can add some stuff to it to make it taste really good. It's very gelatinous. I describe it as looking like something that washed up on the beach, or that you might find at the bottom of a tide pool. So I like it. My mom she can't even watch me eat it. She's just too disgusted by the concept. This is actually one of my favorite pieces I did for this challenge. The prompt was mask. And at first I was kind of struggling with what to do. I think I actually started this at work and then ended up finishing it at home when I had all my materials on hand. So this was not part of the challenge. This was from last year. This is when we lost Paul Di'Anno, the original lead singer of Iron Maiden, who was on the first 2 albums. So that was tribute art I did for him. And the Spookydelic prompt was jellyfish. I think this was done with the water-based Ohuhu markers, and then some Micron pen and white gel pen. This one here, I think the colors, I think I did this in Crayola marker, actually, and then went in with a Micron pen. The prompt was mist, and surprisingly, I was having a hard time coming up with something, which is very surprising, because I live in an area where it gets extremely misty. Even in the summertime, we're just in a cloud of fog. Actually referenced this from a Tintin comic. I like how the rocks turned out, considering how I had such a hard time coming up with an idea and was having a little bit of a hard time with the sketch. The rocks ended up really cool. This was like I'm tired, I have no more energy. This was some other random assorted bullshit. I don't know what I voted for other than chaos. I don't know what election was happening that day. There probably wasn't one. The prompt was purple, and I needed a nap, so we just did a little collage-y, stickery stuff. I was getting a little bit burned out on the double Inktober challenge. This day was planned. Remember, I did this at work because I was using all ballpoint pens. This one, I think I started at work. I had a little bit of a hard time with her face shape, and I'm still not too thrilled with that. You can see where I went in with a white gel pen and tried to fix how I absolutely massacred her in some places, but I wanted to have a more interesting angle and pose, and the prompt for that day was sword. This one was actually a free draw, so you could just draw whatever. And one of the things that my town does, they do a floating pumpkin patch where they just put a bunch of pumpkins in the local pool, and I don't know. I haven't actually seen the floating pumpkin patch. The big exciting thing, which I should have mentioned actually, is the Witch's Paddle, which is an annual event where it just started as a group of friends and paddleboarders who dressed up in witch costumes and went paddleboarding in the bay, and then it turned into a progressively bigger and bigger thing, and now it's like people reserve spaces at the RV park so they can stay and watch the paddleboard event just a year in advance, basically. This year was actually the 13th annual Witch's Paddle. This guy's Spooky Delic prompt was alien. I was apparently really freaking tired because my handwriting is looking a little wonky there. This one, I think I did most of it at work, and I wasn't super happy how it turned out. And then a guy saw it and was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm going to believe you. If a random customer told me it was cool, I'm going to say it's cool. This is where everything started to fall apart. And the fact that I also both did not list the day of the week and then just reverted to English, that tells you how done I was starting to be. Like, girl, you're frustrated with yourself. Don't do 2 Inktobers. I don't even know how to explain this one. This is like an inside joke with some friends. I think I did not do this on the 29th. This is the point where things kind of fell apart. I was playing catch up and Halloween had passed and I was trying to get these last couple of drawings done. This one I didn't even get anywhere on, but sometimes I do leave these pages like kind of undone. I don't worry too much about finishing it because I will go back in a following year and finish, which, I mean, I've only got one more following year. I didn't even write on this day. I was just too checked out. I was trying to do too much at once. But we ended on a really, really good note. I think I had actually started the sketch a couple of days before Halloween. I had finished the piece a couple days after because, yeah, I was behind. But this prompt, it was just candy. And for whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to draw Rouge the Bat as Elvira. And she's going trick-or-treating. And it's going to be fun and wonderful. So considering just like the amount of chaos I put myself through, I think that was a very strong end to the challenge. I am glad I did both challenges because I did fill up a bunch of empty space in my journal. Am I gonna do it again next year? Look, even if I say no right now, however I feel the week before October of 2026 might be dramatically different. Right now, I'm going to say I really need to just do one thing, and I would do the Mystery Inktober with the fragments. See, my problem is I like to make art, and I like to make cool things, and I just decide I can do all of these things at once, and I drive myself insane. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching what I put myself through last month. Comment down below if you like to do challenges like this, if you like to do Inktober, if you've ever thought about doing Inktober but aren't sure how it would go. I would definitely encourage you to try. It's totally okay if you don't succeed. Actually, now that I think about it, this isn't even the first time I've done a double Inktober. I've done at least 2 other double Inktobers in the past. Maybe like don't do that. Especially if you're not quite sure about Inktober. If this is like an intimidating endeavor for you, you don't have to make it more complicated than it needs to be. You can make it as easy as you want. And as I said earlier, you don't have to post anything on social media. You can just do it for yourself, which I think is really the core. I think that's the most important part of Inktober, is that you are maintaining a habit, you're practicing, you're gaining familiarity with a particular media. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode.